Have you ever wondered how two seemingly unrelated poems can share deep underlying themes? Today we're going to explore just that as we dive into two remarkable poems, London by visionary poet William Blake and Exposure by the war poet Wilfred Owen. On the surface, these poems may appear to be about different subjects, but they are bound together by the common threads of suffering and the effects of war. London, penned in the late 18th century, reflects Blake's anguish over the grim realities of his beloved city, tainted by industrialization and societal decay. In contrast, Exposure, written during the First World War, captures Owen's chilling experiences on the front line, presenting a grim portrayal of war's merciless nature. Despite their different time periods and contexts, both poets weave a tapestry of human suffering and the tragic consequences of war, providing a bleak commentary on the societies of their times. Now let's delve deeper into these themes and see how each poet presents them in their work. William Blake's London is a powerful indictment of the Industrial Revolution's impact on society. It presents a grim picture of a city ravaged by poverty, disease, and social injustice. The poem's themes are as compelling as they are distressing. Blake uses vivid imagery to paint a picture of a city where every face shows marks of weakness, marks of woe. This image of despair and suffering is a potent critique of the Industrial Revolution's impact on society. The poem's critique extends to the institutions that Blake sees as complicit in this suffering. He criticizes the church and the monarchy, institutions he believed were supposed to protect the people, but instead contributed to their misery. The blackening church and the hapless soldier's sigh are symbols of these failing institutions. So Blake eloquently portrays a city in despair, but how does this compare to Owen's Exposure? In contrast to Blake's urban landscape, Owen's Exposure presents us with the brutal reality of war in the trenches. The poem is rife with themes of despair, isolation, and the futility of war. The soldiers are not only exposed to the harsh weather conditions, but also to the harsh reality of their expendability in the grand scheme of the war. Owen's use of language is instrumental in conveying the physical and psychological suffering of the soldiers. His vivid descriptions of the merciless iced east winds and the melancholy army not only illustrate the physical discomfort, but also the mental anguish experienced in the trenches. The constant questioning of what are we doing here serves as a poignant critique of the senselessness of war. Owen's Exposure goes beyond the physical suffering to expose the psychological torment endured by the soldiers. Despite their different settings, both poems offer a bleak view of human suffering. But what can we learn from this comparison? Comparing these two poems allows us to see how each poet uses language and imagery to convey their message. Both London by William Blake and Exposure by Wilfred Owen offer a critique of societal institutions and the status quo. Blake's London laments the Industrial Revolution's impact on society, using stark imagery and bleak metaphors. On the other hand, Owen's Exposure exposes the harsh realities of war, with a poignant focus on the human suffering it causes. Despite their different contexts, both poems share a common thread. They highlight human suffering caused by larger societal structures. Blake's poem paints a picture of a society enslaved by industrial progress, while Owen's poem presents the grim reality of soldiers in the trenches. Each poem, in its unique way, compels us to reflect on the inherent injustices in our own society. By exploring these themes, both poets compel us to reflect on our own society and question the structures that cause suffering. So, what will you reflect on today? Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Exam Prepper for more content like this.